So how can you, a man coming from 147, I know he's a great man. Crawford is a great man and a great warrior. But you come from 147 to put on a better fight than I mean, I don't even know what that means. I don't know if that means...
Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford are two of boxing's biggest stars, and their rivalry just heated up. Canelo, a dominant force in multiple weight classes, didn't hold back when he criticized Crawford's record.
The likelihood of a fight with you and Terence Crawford would be one of the biggest in boxing.
We don't talking about yet about the fight. Me and Turkarash know each other, and then we wanna see what happens.
And when do you want to get out next?
In an interview with TMZ Sports, Canelo threw a sharp critique, saying, "I respect Terence Crawford. He's very talented, but he's only won one big fight. If you look at his record, he's only beaten one top fighter. He hasn't faced others like Spence." The comment hit hard, drawing reactions from fans and fighters alike, with some even predicting an early win for Canelo.
The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that, you know, is his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do.
Crawford, undefeated with wins over Kell Brook, Amir Khan, and Errol Spence Jr., wasn't going to let Canelo's jab slide. He fired back on social media, writing, "LEL, that's crazy. So every fighter I've faced isn't good except one? Just remember what you said, because I've always enjoyed making someone look like a nobody." His response only fueled the fire, sparking debates among fans on whether Canelo's comments were justified or just a mind game to hype up a potential fight. The idea of these two pound-for-pound kings facing off has boxing fans buzzing, with Saudi boxing chief Turki Al Sheikh reportedly in the middle of the negotiations.
Biggest fight in the game.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like when you're looking at Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, this is the next thing.
While many thought the deal was almost done, Alec threw everyone off with a mysterious post on social media a few days ago. He wrote, "We are not talking about boxing, we were discussing the video game Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, which launches on April 24th, 2025. I challenged them in the game, and we decided not to do the boxing fight because all three of us hate boxing. So we chose yoga instead." Was he serious? Or was it just a clever way to keep the rumors going? Either way, fans were left confused and puzzled.
I see he wants to fight. He's made it clear. Do fights like that help your legacy, or do you feel like that's something that's not worth it to you?
Everything in my career, every fight make my legacy different and better. No, Terence Crawford is a great fighter. He's a good fighter.
Amid all the chaos, Callum Smith, a fighter who's faced Canelo in the ring, joined the debate, questioning if Crawford can handle Canelo's size and power. Smith, who's naturally a 168-pound fighter, knows firsthand how challenging it is to fight Canelo in that division. "That's a great fight," Smith told pro boxing fans. "They're both pound-for-pound stars and exceptional. It'll be interesting to see how the weight affects Crawford moving up to 168. Smith highlighted that Crawford started his career at 135 pounds, so stepping up 2 weight classes to face someone like Canelo is no easy task. He's a 4-weight world champion, so going up 2 more to face Canelo is going to be a tough challenge, Smith added.
Ooh-wee! Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford is about to be a real thing for September. I'm gonna need us to really talk about this. If you got Canelo winning this fight, I need to know why you think Canelo winning this fight. If you got Bud winning this fight...
Smith also compared Crawford to Jermall Charlo, who moved up in weight to face Canelo but struggled with the size difference. As we saw with Charlo, he's a very good fighter, but he couldn't really handle Canelo. It's fine putting on weight, but there's natural size, and Crawford's moving up from the lower weights, Smith explained. He also pointed out that Crawford's lack of experience at super middleweight is a concern. He hasn't fought at 168 before, and his move to 154 against Israel Moderna was far from smooth, Smith added. With a potential 13-month layoff if the fight happens in September, many are now questioning if Crawford is taking on more than he can handle.
Stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. You know, so let's not do that.
On the other hand, Crawford's supporters argue that he's a once-in-a-generation talent, capable of overcoming challenges that would break other fighters. They point to his dominant win over Errol Spence Jr. in 2023 as evidence of his ability to rise to the occasion. Still, the idea of Crawford jumping 2 weight classes to fight Canelo has some fans skeptical. Is this fight about proving his greatness, or is it just a huge payday for the Nebraska native? Critics like Smith believe it might be the latter, warning that fans could feel cheated if the fight turns out to be one-sided. If Crawford doesn't want to face top fighters at 168, all you can think is he's just there for the payday, Smith said bluntly.
Has a chance against Canelo Alvarez at 168.
I think he has a chance against either one of those guys. The weight, though, is a serious thing. And one of the reasons why Canelo is so successful is he's got such a good chin. And if you can't hurt him and you got a guy that much bigger than you in front of you who's also explosive and talented, it's like that's a really...
Canelo Alvarez, at 33 years old with a record of 62 wins and 39 knockouts, is no stranger to facing ambitious opponents. However, even his biggest supporters admit he's not the same fighter he once was. Signs of wear and tear are starting to show, especially after tougher-than-expected bouts against Dimitri Bivol and others. Bernard Hopkins' opinion on the potential fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo might not surprise many, but it's added more fuel to the fire in this growing debate. Size does matter, Hopkins said bluntly, dismissing Crawford's chances in the super middleweight division. The 59-year-old, known for his own impressive weight class jumps during his career, has become one of the loudest critics of the potential fight. However, his stance has sparked some controversy. Fans have pointed out the contradiction, as Hopkins was once known for taking on naturally bigger opponents. In this case, though, he firmly believes Crawford is stepping into uncharted territory where success isn't guaranteed.
Can he beat him? Can he beat Canelo? Is his skill so much that he's able to bridge the weight classes?
He has a legitimate chance. Over 60% for as much. If you say, Bernard, give me a number.
Give me a number.
He has an 85+ chance to beat Canelo.
Hopkins' criticism of the potential fight has sparked backlash from Crawford's camp and fans, who argue that Hopkins is underestimating Crawford's skill set and adaptability, qualities that have made him one of the best pound-for-pound fighters of his generation. Hopkins is talking like he wasn't the underdog in some of his biggest fights, said one fan on social media. He's just trying to downplay Crawford because he knows how dangerous Bud really is. The debate continues, but Hopkins seems unfazed by the pushback. He doubled down on his position, stating that Crawford has too many risks to consider at this stage in his career.
Speed. Terence Crawford is a fast fighter, period. He's coming from lightweight. You will see him as a faster fighter. But I am going to argue that though Terence is faster than Canelo, I don't think he's going to be that much faster than Canelo at 168.
Meanwhile, Tim Bradley's perspective couldn't be more different. The former two-weight world champion, known for his candid and bold opinions, believes Crawford has everything needed to dominate Canelo. His prediction of a one-sided beating has raised eyebrows, especially considering Canelo's history of easily handling smaller fighters who dared to challenge him. Crawford is going to beat the brakes off of Canelo, Bradley declared with confidence, going against the grain of popular opinion. His statement has sparked both admiration and skepticism, with fans and analysts divided over whether his confidence in Crawford is justified or simply exaggerated.
More skills than a Lara, and I think he can do more. And you're saying that, oh, Canelo is a super strong guy. Man, technique, you already know. If you ever wrestled before, the person that got better technique usually win. It don't matter how much the weight they have or what they're carrying around.
Bradley's comments have sparked heated discussions online, with Canelo's supporters calling his take disrespectful. Bradley is out of his mind if he thinks Canelo is going to get walked over. One critic wrote, "This is the same Canelo who went 12 rounds with GGG and beat him. Crawford's good, but he's no G." However, others see Bradley's prediction as a sign of Crawford's undeniable talent. "People always underestimate Bud until they're proven wrong," a fan responded. "This is the same energy people had before he destroyed Spence. Don't sleep on him."
Terence Crawford. You know, big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. You know, it ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this the last couple of years. I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against nobody right now. You got to show me.
Adding another layer to the drama is Oscar de la Hoya's recent shift in opinion on Crawford. De la Hoya, who once believed Crawford had the skills to outbox Canelo, has now joined the growing list of doubters after watching Crawford struggle against Israel Madrimov. The fight, which many expected Crawford to dominate, exposed some vulnerabilities that critics have since magnified. De la Hoya didn't hold back when explaining his change of heart. "I actually thought Crawford would beat Canelo before I saw him fight Madrimov," he admitted. "It changed my mind. Size and talent will always prevail in boxing history."
First of all, I give Crawford all the credit in the world for even thinking about possibly fighting Canelo. But if that fight ever takes place, I have Crawford 1,000%. And people are going to say, "Oh, well, you're contradicting." I have Crawford 1,000%.
De la Hoya's remarks have sparked division among fans. Some agree with his assessment, pointing out that Crawford's performance against Madrimov was far from his best. However, others feel De la Hoya is being too harsh, especially considering the circumstances of the fight. Crawford was coming off a year-long layoff, moving up in weight, and adjusting to a new division. De la Hoya is just bitter, said one fan. He's always had an agenda against fighters who aren't signed to him. Crawford had an off night, but that doesn't erase everything he's accomplished. Crawford's supporters also pointed to De la Hoya's own career struggles as a counterpoint. "Oscar's talking like he didn't get embarrassed by Pacquiao," one fan tweeted. "Maybe he should focus on promoting his fighters instead of tearing down Crawford." The tension between De la Hoya and Crawford's camp has only added more intrigue to an already heated narrative, with both sides trading verbal jabs through the media.
Will make Canelo look like a child.
Can he beat Canelo?
Terence Crawford will beat Canelo anytime. Just with the skill set alone, Terence Crawford is a master. He will make him look like a child. And that's just...
Beyond the individual opinions, the broader boxing community remains deeply divided over this potential showdown. The weight disparity between Crawford and Canelo has become a central talking point, with many questioning if Crawford can truly handle the jump to 168 pounds. Critics argue that Canelo's natural size and power will be too much for Crawford to overcome, pointing to his dominant performances against smaller fighters like Jermall Charlo. "Canelo thrives on fighting guys who move up in weight," said one analyst. "He knows how to use his size to his advantage, and that's not something Crawford can easily neutralize." However, Crawford's supporters believe his technical skills and ring IQ could be the great equalizers. They highlight his ability to adapt mid-fight and exploit his opponent's weaknesses, traits that have made him one of the most feared fighters in the sport. "Crawford is a different breed," said a former trainer. "He doesn't just fight, he calculates. If anyone can figure out how to beat Canelo, it's Bud." Promoters and industry insiders are also weighing in, with some expressing skepticism about whether the fight will actually happen despite the hype. Logistical challenges, such as weight agreements, purse splits, and scheduling conflicts, could derail the matchup. "This fight has a lot of moving parts," said one promoter. "It's not just about getting the fighters to agree. There's a whole machine behind these events, and one wrong move can kill the deal." Eddie Hearn dropped some bombshells about Canelo Alvarez's next steps, and let's just say things aren't looking too exciting for the Mexican superstar. According to Hearn, Canelo isn't thrilled about the idea of facing Terence Crawford, but it might be his only big fight left. This lack of enthusiasm has fans wondering what's going on with the so-called face of boxing. Hearn also pointed out that Canelo's options are limited. He mentioned a potential rematch against Dimitri Bivol for the undisputed light heavyweight title, but only if Bivol defeats Artur Beterbiev in their February showdown. Let's not forget, Canelo already tried his hand against Bivol back in 2022 and came up short. That loss still stings, and Hearn acknowledged that avenging it is something that's been on Canelo's mind.
Everybody keeps bringing up Canelo. I think that's weird, because you'd have to gain 20 pounds? Yeah. But they say that's the money fight. That's the mega fight. That's the money fight. That's the only thing that makes sense for Terence Crawford.
Well,
catch weight. You can do something out of it.
But here's the kicker. If Bivol doesn't manage to capture all the belts from Beterbiev, things get complicated. Hearn was pretty blunt in saying that there aren't many appealing names left for Canelo's future fights. Fighters like Jermall Charlo or David Benavidez at 175 pounds don't seem to be high on the priority list. And as for Crawford, Hearn outright stated that Canelo's team isn't too keen on the matchup. I don't think he's mad on the Crawford fight, if I'm honest, Hearn admitted, but he quickly added that it might be the only blockbuster fight left for Canelo. This raises a controversial point. Has Canelo lost his spark? Fans are starting to wonder if his dominance is fading. Sure, he's still a top name, but it feels like he's running out of both gas and options. Critics argue that his reluctance toward the Crawford fight shows he's not hungry for big challenges anymore. Meanwhile, others defend him, saying he's earned the right to be selective after such a long career at the top. Sean Porter, who once faced Terence Crawford in the ring, didn't hesitate to stir the pot in the ongoing debate about a potential Canelo versus Crawford fight. According to Porter, Canelo is no longer the fighter he once was. He claimed that the Mexican icon's career has been on a steady decline for the past few years. Canelo is not who he was 4 years ago, Porter told Fight Hype. I wouldn't say he's declining fast, but his career is definitely not going up, and he hasn't done this level in 2 or 3 years. Ouch. Coming from a former champ, that's a hard pill to swallow for Canelo's fans.
More weight classes, like once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, so I think...
Porter also suggested that Crawford has several advantages in a potential fight against Canelo. You have to get your mind out of the space of who's stronger. Boxing isn't just about strength. Who's smarter, who's more athletic, who's faster, who's got more stamina, he said. Porter believes Crawford checks most of those boxes, making him a dangerous opponent even for someone like Canelo. But here's where things get even more controversial. While Porter's comments about Canelo's decline might ring true to some, others argue that it's disrespectful to dismiss the achievements of a fighter who has dominated multiple weight classes. Canelo's supporters argue that he's still more than capable of beating Crawford, pointing to his power, experience, and ability to adapt in the ring. However, critics like Porter seem convinced that Canelo's best days are behind him. Interestingly, Porter also hinted that Crawford might need a tune-up fight at 168 pounds before facing Canelo. He mentioned rumors that Crawford could face Sergey Derevyanchenko as a warm-up, though he admitted that Derevyanchenko isn't exactly a young, hungry fighter. This suggestion sparked even more debate, with some fans arguing that Crawford shouldn't risk anything before the Canelo fight, while others feel it's crucial for him to test the waters at super middleweight. The idea of a Crawford versus Canelo fight remains divisive, but Porter's comments have certainly added fuel to the fire. If anything, they've made it clear that this fight wouldn't just be about the fighter's skills. It would also be a battle of narratives. Is Canelo truly on the decline?
He willing to take that gamble, see if he can beat him. If he beats him, he may go fight Benavidez next. If he don't beat him, he say, okay, I took it as high as I could go. I'm done.
And can Crawford defy the odds by jumping 3 weight classes to make history? These are the questions fans will be debating until the fight is officially confirmed. If there's one fighter who's fully in Terence Crawford's corner, it's Shakur Stevenson. The rising star didn't hold back when he shared his thoughts on a potential Crawford versus Canelo matchup. According to Stevenson, Crawford isn't just capable of beating Canelo. He might actually be the favorite in such a fight. I think he's unbelievable, Stevenson said on Sean Porter's channel, praising Crawford's skills and work ethic.
Able to walk through me. Honestly, if anybody could jump up in weight classes and do it, it's Terence Crawford. I don't know nobody who is mentally as strong as Terence Crawford. So,
He credited Crawford for helping him improve as a fighter, saying, I got better over the years not just from being in the ring with him, but by being outside of the ring, watching his demeanor, watching what he does in sparring, watching his training camp and how hard he trains. Stevenson also dismissed the idea that Crawford is too small to compete with Canelo. He's not as little as people think, he said. adding that Crawford could weigh in at around 166 or 167 pounds for the fight and still look ripped and cut. But not everyone is convinced. Critics argue that while Crawford may look the part, he lacks the experience and power to compete at super middleweight.
I can't go down anymore. But like he say, when they ask him for the Germonta fight, they don't wanna get credit for that fight. It's the same for me. I don't need to take that fight because everybody's gonna say it's too small, it's too small, it's too small, and then, he need to enjoy his fight.
What's more, Stevenson's unwavering belief in Crawford has led some fans to accuse him of being overly biased. They point out that Stevenson might be putting Crawford on too high of a pedestal, setting him up for disappointment if things don't go as planned. I just hope Shakur doesn't get too upset if Crawford loses to Canelo and is knocked out in the process, one fan commented online. There's also been speculation about how Crawford might approach the fight. Some worry that he could adopt a defensive strategy similar to how Jermall Charlo fought Canelo in 2023. Fans were less than thrilled with Charlo's performance, and many fear a repeat scenario if Crawford decides to prioritize survival over action. Despite the skepticism, Stevenson remains confident that Crawford has what it takes to beat Canelo. He even suggested that Crawford could dominate other big names like Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, though most fans see that as wishful thinking. Whether you agree with Stevenson or not, his confidence in Crawford has added even more intrigue to the potential fight. It's clear that both camps believe they have the upper hand, but as the speculation continues, the only way to settle the debate will be in the ring. For now, fans will just have to wait and see if this clash of champions becomes a reality. Well, what do you think? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more.